Hey there, and welcome. We're about to tackle something that almost every single person on Earth has dealt with, but most of us don't really get what's going on. I'm talking about headaches. It's way more than just a pain in the neck or, well, the head. It's actually a really complex signal from your body. So today, we're going to decode that signal together.
Okay, let's just start with this number, because it's pretty wild. Over 90%. That's how many of us will have a headache at some point. It's practically a universal human experience, right up there with laughing or crying. It's this shared language of, ugh, not today.
Yep, we all know that feeling. That dull ache, that sharp throb, that feeling like your head is in a vice. But what is actually going on in there, like on a biological level? What wires are getting crossed inside our brain to cause that pain? That's the big question we're here to answer.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll touch on why this is such a universal pain. Then, we're going to meet the two main families that all headaches belong to. After that, we are doing a deep dive into the big one, the migraine. Then we'll get practical and talk about how to tame the pain. And we'll finish up with something absolutely critical, when to seek help.
All right, section 1. Like we said, headaches are everywhere. But just because they're common doesn't mean they're simple. The reason you have one could be anything from not drinking enough water to something way, way more complicated going on inside. Getting a handle on that is step 1.
So, with all these different causes, how do doctors even begin to figure it out? Well, they start by putting headaches into two big groups, or families, if you will. And knowing which family your headache belongs to, that is the key to everything that comes next.
Okay, so here are the two families. First up, you've got your primary headaches. This is when the headache is the problem. Think of a tension headache or a migraine. It's not being caused by something else. The headache itself is the main event. Then you have secondary headaches. These guys are basically alarm bells. They're a symptom of another issue, like a sinus infection, a head injury, or even a really bad hangover.
So let's look at the three most common primary headaches because they feel totally different. A tension headache, that's that classic feeling of a tight band squeezing your forehead, just a dull, annoying ache. A cluster headache is a whole other beast. It's this incredibly severe piercing pain that zeroes in on one eye. And then there's the migraine, usually a brutal throbbing pain on one side of your head that can just knock you out for days. You can see how the location, the timing, and the type of pain are all huge clues.
All right, let's bust a myth, the sinus headache. So many of us say, oh, I have a sinus headache. But here's the thing, a huge number of people who think that's what they're feeling are actually completely wrong. It's a classic case of mistaken identity.
See, a real sinus headache comes with friends. You'll likely have a stuffy nose, maybe a fever, you can't smell things right. It's a whole package deal. But what if you just have that pressure around your eyes and forehead? Well, it might not be your sinuses at all. It could be something called binocular vision dysfunction, or BVD. Basically, your eyes are just a tiny bit out of sync, and your eye muscles are working like crazy to pull everything into focus. That constant strain creates pressure that feels exactly like a sinus headache. And the treatment for BVD is totally different, which is why getting the right diagnosis is so important.
Okay, now we're going to zoom in, way in on the most infamous headache of all, the migraine. If you've never had one, it's hard to explain. And if you have, you know it's so much more than just a bad headache. It's a massive neurological event, and to really get it, we have to look deep inside the brain.
And this is the single most important thing to understand. A migraine isn't a symptom of something else. It is a disorder of your brain and nervous system. The pain is just one piece of a much larger biological puzzle. And when you start thinking about it that way, as a neurological event, everything about how you treat it changes. So, what does this neurological event feel like? Well, it's a full-on assault. You've got the intense pulsing pain, sure, but then there's often nausea, extreme sensitivity to light and sound, like you just need to be in a pitch-black, silent room. About 1 in 4 people also get what's called an aura, which is this weird visual stuff like flashing lights or blind spots that happens before the pain hits. And then, even when the headache fades, you're not done. There's the postdrome, or migraine hangover, which can leave you feeling totally drained and out of it for a whole day.
So where's all this coming from? What's the command center for this chaos? Well, meet the trigeminal-vascular system, the TVS for short. The heart of this system is your trigeminal nerve. It's a massive nerve responsible for sensation in your face. Think of the TVS as the pain superhighway for your head. And during a migraine, this highway is lit up with activity, firing off all those pain signals.
Now, if the TVS is the highway, there's a specific molecule that's acting like a pain messenger, speeding down those lanes. It's a protein with a mouthful of a name, calcitonin gene-related peptide, or CGRP. The easiest way to think about CGRP is as the molecule that screams, "fire," in your nervous system. During a migraine, your nerves release a flood of it, and that CGRP causes blood vessels to swell up and get inflamed. And that inflammation, that is the source of that intense, throbbing pain.
So let's walk through the whole chain reaction. It all starts with a trigger. Let's say it's a really stressful day. That trigger activates a part of your brainstem. An alarm signal then zips down that pain superhighway, the TVS. In response, your nerves dump out all those little CGRP pain messengers, and then, boom, CGRP gets to work, causing inflammation and swelling, and you are officially in the middle of a full-blown migraine. It's a very specific, step-by-step biological cascade.
And what are those triggers that kick the whole thing off? Well, look at this. A lot of it comes down to lifestyle. Stress is the undisputed heavyweight champion of triggers, at 40%. But right behind it is sleep disruption. Hormonal shifts are a big one too. Even simple things like skipping lunch or not drinking enough water can be enough to start that cascade. It just goes to show you how much our daily routines are tied into our brain's chemistry.
Okay, we've gone deep on the problem, so let's talk about solutions. And here's the good news. Managing the pain isn't just about popping a pill when it starts. It's about building a lifestyle that makes your brain less trigger-happy in the first place.
A really simple way to remember the big 4 lifestyle pillars is the SEED method. S is for sleep. Your brain loves a routine, so a regular sleep schedule is huge. E is for eat. Eating regular meals keeps your blood sugar stable. The second E is for exercise. You don't have to run a marathon, but regular, moderate exercise is proven to help. And finally, D is for diary. Seriously, tracking your headaches and what was going on that day is the #1 way to figure out what your personal triggers are.
And beyond seed, there are a few other things to keep on your radar. Alcohol, and for some reason red wine in particular, can be a massive trigger. Same with smoking. And caffeine. Caffeine is a tricky one. A little bit can sometimes help a headache, but too much can be a trigger. And what's worse is caffeine withdrawal. So if you're a big coffee drinker and you suddenly stop, you can get some wicked rebound headaches. It's all about finding a balance.
And now we've arrived at what is, without a doubt, the most important part of this entire explainer. We need to talk about when headache is not just a headache. We need to talk about the red flags that mean it's a medical emergency. This is information that could literally save your life or someone else's.
Let's start with this phrase. If the thought, "this is the worst headache of my life," ever crosses your mind, that is your cue. Don't wait, don't take a painkiller and lie down. You need to get to an emergency room immediately. A headache that is fundamentally different and monumentally worse than anything you felt before is the biggest red flag there is.
So here are the other signs you need to look for along with the head pain. If it comes on instantly, like a clap of thunder, that's an emergency. If it comes with a stiff neck and a fever, that could be meningitis. If you've got confusion, weakness on one side of your body, or trouble speaking, those are classic stroke symptoms. Any of these paired with a headache means you need help right now.
Let's put this on a timeline, because timing is everything. A headache that goes from 0 to a 10 out of 10 in less than a minute, that thunderclap, could be a bleed in the brain. Go to the ER. A headache that shows up hours after you've hit your head, you need to be checked for a concussion. And a migraine that just won't quit for more than 3 days straight, that's a condition called status migrainosus, and it's also dangerous. You need medical help. How fast it starts and how long it lasts are critical clues.
So from that annoying tension ache to a full-blown migraine attack, every headache is your body sending you a message. It's giving you a piece of data. And understanding what type of headache it is, what your triggers are, and knowing those critical red flags, that is the absolute first and most powerful step you can take to manage the pain and protect your health. So the real question is, are you listening?